There comes a time in life when we realize that the loudest noise isn't from the world outside. It's from within us. Distractions, comparisons, and the constant chase for validation drown out the quiet truth. Progress is born in silence. Success isn't built under spotlights. It's shaped in shadows, where discipline thrives and persistence grows. This audiobook is your guide to mastering the art of focusing on yourself and working in silence. Together, we'll uncover how to shut out the noise, channel your energy inward, and build a life that speaks so loudly through results that words become unnecessary. Silence is often mistaken for weakness, but in truth, it holds extraordinary power. It is not the absence of action, nor is it the lack of progress. Silence is the quiet forge where resilience is shaped, where focus sharpens, and where dreams begin to take their form. Imagine a seed buried beneath the earth. No one claps for it. No one notices it. Yet, in that dark and silent place, the seed prepares. It gathers strength, pushes through soil, and one day emerges as a tree. That tree was not born in noise or applause. It was born in silence. When you begin to focus on your journey, without broadcasting every step, you create a sacred space for growth. This is the space where distractions fade and clarity arises. Too often, people feel the urge to announce their plans before they even act. They talk about the book they will write, the business they will start, or the goals they will achieve. But words alone are empty if they are not matched with consistent action. Silence prevents you from wasting energy on appearances and redirects it into building substance. Think of the great achievements in history. They were not formed overnight or under bright lights. They were cultivated through countless unseen hours of effort. The athlete trains in empty gyms long before a medal is placed around their neck. The musician practices in solitude before the world hears a single note. The entrepreneur stays up late, refining ideas in the quiet before anyone calls them successful. Their journeys began not with grand announcements, but with silent dedication. There is also strength in withholding your plans from the eyes of those who might doubt or discourage you. Not everyone will understand your vision, and not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Silence becomes a shield. It protects your goals from the negativity and skepticism that can derail you. By keeping your focus inward, you eliminate unnecessary voices and preserve your energy for the work that truly matters. Silence is also a discipline of humility. It teaches you that greatness does not need to be broadcasted at every stage. True confidence does not scream. It simply exists. When you work in silence, you allow your results to carry the message for you. And when the time comes, your progress will speak so clearly that no words will be necessary. That moment will be powerful, not because you demanded recognition, but because you earned it quietly. But silence is not just about what you withhold from the world. It is also about what you create within yourself. In stillness, you hear your own thoughts more clearly. You begin to recognize patterns in your behavior, strengths you can build on, and weaknesses you must correct. Silence gives you time to reflect, to ask yourself hard questions, and to listen for honest answers. Without it, you risk losing yourself in the noise of endless distractions. Think of the difference between a pond stirred by constant wind and a still lake. The pond reflects nothing because its surface is disturbed, but the still lake mirrors everything with clarity. Your mind works the same way. In silence, your thoughts settle, and suddenly you can see more clearly where you are and where you must go. So embrace silence not as emptiness, but as a tool. It is the canvas upon which you paint your dreams, the soil in which you plant your efforts, and the forge where your discipline is tested. While the world chases noise and applause, you remain steady, quietly constructing the foundation of your future. One day, those who overlooked your silence will be unable to ignore your success. Until then, keep working, keep building, keep growing. Silence is not your weakness. It is your secret strength. In today's world, it is almost second nature to seek validation. From the moment we wake up, many of us are caught in a cycle of checking notifications, waiting for approval, waiting for that small signal from others that we are on the right path. A like on a photo, a comment on a post, a compliment from a colleague. These seem harmless, yet they begin to shape how we see ourselves. Slowly, we start to believe that our worth is measured by how others respond to us. This is the hidden trap of validation. When you base your progress on external applause, you give away your power. You are no longer working for your own growth. You are performing for an audience. And when the audience is silent, you feel as though you have failed. But true success does not need constant recognition. True growth is often invisible in the beginning. It happens quietly, beneath the surface, without anyone noticing. Imagine a young athlete training alone in an empty gym. No one is watching, no one is cheering. Sweat drips, muscles ache, and exhaustion tempts him to stop. Yet he continues, because he understands something most people forget. The work done without witnesses is the work that builds champions. If he were to wait for applause every time he trained, he would never endure the hardest days. His discipline comes from within, not from the crowd. You must begin to see your own journey in the same light. Every step you take in silence is an investment in your future. The energy you waste on proving yourself to others could be directed into building skills, learning deeply, or strengthening your discipline. Validation feels good in the moment, but it fades. The mastery you build within yourself lasts forever. There is also a danger in becoming addicted to approval. When you live for validation, you adjust yourself constantly to please others. You shape your actions, not around your values, but around what will gain applause. And in that chase, you lose authenticity. You forget who you are because you're too busy performing who others expect you to be. But when you step away from validation, when you release the need to be seen, you reclaim your authenticity. You stand firmly in your truth, regardless of who notices. The silence of working for yourself can feel lonely at first. You may question whether you are on the right path if no one acknowledges your progress. But that loneliness is not emptiness. It is space. Space to grow without pressure. Space to fail without shame. Space to improve quietly until your progress is undeniable. The seed does not ask the soil for praise before it sprouts. It simply grows, and in time, it blooms for all to see. Ask yourself this: do you want to be known for your announcements or for your achievements? Many people talk about what they will do. They make noise before results. But those who leave the deepest impact are not the ones who talk. They are the ones who quietly do the work and let their results speak. Imagine walking into a room and letting your actions, your discipline, and your results create the introduction for you. That is the power of focusing inward and releasing the need for validation. When you no longer depend on others to define your worth, you gain a powerful freedom. You are free to experiment, free to stumble, free to grow at your own pace. You no longer fear failure, because failure is not an audience's verdict. It is only a step in your private journey. And when success comes, it comes without arrogance, because you did not chase applause. You chased growth. So remember this truth: the greatest validation you will ever receive does not come from others. It comes from looking at yourself in the mirror, knowing you kept going when no one was watching, knowing you stayed true to your path, even when it was silent. That kind of validation is deeper, stronger, and unshakable. And it is the only kind that truly matters. Motivation is like a spark. It flares brightly for a moment. But if there is no fuel, no steady firewood, it dies quickly. Many people wait for motivation to arrive before they act. They tell themselves, "I'll work when I feel ready. I'll study when I feel inspired. I'll start chasing my dreams when the mood strikes." But the truth is, if you wait for motivation, you will wait forever. The people who achieve greatness, who build lives of purpose and accomplishment, are not the ones who feel inspired every day. They are the ones who had built the discipline to act regardless of how they feel. Discipline is the quiet force that sustains progress long after the initial burst of energy has faded. Think of an artist who wakes up each morning to paint, even when the canvas looks intimidating and the colors feel dull. Or an athlete who laces up their shoes in the early hours, not because they are excited every day, but because they have made a commitment to themselves. They do not depend on their emotions. They depend on their habits. This is the difference between those who start and stop endlessly and those who slowly, steadily reach mastery. When you live with discipline, your days are not controlled by your moods. You do not say, "I feel tired, so I won't practice today," or "I don't feel inspired, so I'll skip the work." Instead, you anchor yourself in a routine that pushes you forward regardless of emotion. Over time, this routine becomes part of who you are. You no longer negotiate with yourself every morning about whether or not to act. You simply act, and in this, you find freedom. Discipline is not a prison, it is the opposite. It frees you from the chains of procrastination and the trap of inconsistency. Imagine a sculptor chiseling away at stone. On the first day, the block looks unchanged. On the second, still nothing. Weeks pass, and from the outside, it seems pointless. But the sculptor keeps working. He trusts the process, and then, slowly, shape emerges. A figure begins to appear, and eventually, a masterpiece is born. This is the power of discipline, small, consistent actions that compound into results, so powerful they seem almost magical to those who only saw the beginning and the end. Motivation cannot carry you through the days when progress is invisible. Discipline does. Motivation cannot sustain you when no one is watching. Discipline does. Motivation may get you started, but discipline ensures you finish. And the greatest results in life are reserved for those who finish. The beauty of discipline is that it grows stronger with use. The first time you force yourself to work when you don't feel like it, it's difficult. The second time, it's still a struggle. But each time you push through resistance, you prove to yourself that feelings are not in control. You are. Eventually, the act of showing up becomes natural, like brushing your teeth or tying your shoes. What once required immense willpower becomes automatic. That is when discipline transforms from an effort into a way of being. This is why the quiet worker who embraces discipline will always outlast the one who depends on motivation. The one who waits for inspiration will stop as soon as the spark dies. But the one who builds discipline has created an engine that runs even in the darkest, quietest moments. And it is in those quiet, unseen moments that greatness is born. The world today is louder than it has ever been. Every second, something demands your attention. Notifications on your phone, endless news headlines, conversations that add no value, and the pressure to keep up with everyone else's lives. It feels as though the moment you try to focus, something tugs you away, stealing the clarity you need to move forward. This is the distraction trap. It doesn't always come in the form of something harmful. Often it disguises itself as entertainment, harmless scrolling, or staying informed. But over time, it quietly consumes the hours you could have used to build yourself into the person you dream of becoming. When you are constantly distracted, you dilute your own power. Think about a beam of light. When spread out, it barely illuminates a room. But when concentrated into a laser, it can cut through steel. Your mind works the same way. Every distraction scatters your energy, while focus channels it into force. To achieve anything meaningful, you must reclaim your attention from the world's noise and give it to what matters most. Your craft, your goals, your growth. Imagine a marathon runner. The crowd cheers on every side, calling his name, urging him to stop for a picture, offering distractions at every turn. If he paused to interact with every shout, he would never finish the race. His strength lies in his ability to tune out the noise and keep his eyes on the finish line. Life is no different. Your finish line may be success in your career, mastery of a skill, or building a healthier life, but you cannot cross it if you are pulled off the track every few steps. Distractions don't always appear as external noise. They often hide inside your own mind. Doubts, comparisons, and the urge to check what everyone else is doing. They all compete for your attention. Working in silence means not only shutting out external interruptions, but also mastering your inner world. You must learn to quiet the chatter within, the constant temptation to compare your progress with someone else's highlight reel. Your journey is unique, and distractions steal the very resource you cannot afford to waste: time. Time is the currency of growth, and unlike money, it cannot be earned back once spent. Every moment you give to meaningless noise is a moment you cannot use to sharpen your skills, to strengthen your body, to expand your knowledge. Think of what even one focused hour a day could do for you if invested with discipline. In a year, those hours become hundreds of powerful sessions of growth. But lose those same hours to distractions, and a year later you will be in the same place, only more frustrated by the lack of progress. Working in silence protects this precious resource. When you commit to blocking out the noise, you create a sacred space for progress. It doesn't mean you cut yourself off from the world completely. It means you choose carefully what deserves your attention. You build boundaries around your energy. You no longer feel the to announce every plan or update every move, because those announcements themselves become distractions. You stop chasing what is irrelevant and start nurturing what will last. The truth is, distraction will always exist. You cannot remove it from the world, but you can remove its grip on you. Each time you resist the urge to be pulled away, you strengthen your discipline. Each time you return your focus to your work, you reclaim a piece of your future. This is how silent achievers separate themselves from the rest. While others waste their strength on fleeting noise, they preserve theirs for the work that truly matters. And so, the challenge is clear: train your mind to see distractions for what they are, thieves of your destiny. Protect your time as fiercely as you would guard your most valuable possession. When you do, The silence you create becomes not emptiness, but power. It becomes the ground where your dreams can take root, free from the weeds of endless noise. And in that silence, you will discover what few ever do. That focus, guarded and nurtured, is the ultimate key to transformation. Every great accomplishment begins in the unseen places of life. Before the applause, before the recognition, before the world knows your name, there is a season of obscurity. It is in that season, when no one is watching, that the true work of greatness takes place. It is in the quiet, in the hidden hours, that character is forged and skills are sharpened. To build in the dark is to embrace the silence of preparation, to understand that the most important work is done away from the spotlight. Think of a musician practicing alone in a dimly lit room. The audience never sees the countless hours of repetition, the missed notes of frustration, the long nights. What they eventually hear is a performance that appears effortless, but that illusion of ease is born of invisible struggle. The same is true for an athlete training when the stands are empty, for a writer revising draft after draft that no one will ever read, for an entrepreneur making sacrifices in silence long before success arrives. What the world sees is only the finished product. What they never witness is the season of obscurity where the foundation was laid. This is why building in the dark is so powerful. It frees you from the pressure of constant judgment. When no one is watching, you are not bound by expectations. You are free to experiment, to fail, to learn, and to refine. In silence, mistakes are not public embarrassments. They are lessons that strengthen you. In obscurity, every setback is fuel for growth, rather than a stage for criticism. And in those quiet seasons, you learn the resilience that will carry you when the world finally pays attention. Many people fear obscurity. They crave the instant approval of others, so they announce every plan, broadcast every step, and demand recognition before results are born. But that craving for attention often weakens them. It creates the illusion of progress when there is none. It gives the comfort of applause without the weight of true achievement. Building in the dark demands the opposite. It asks you to delay recognition, to hold back the applause, and to keep moving forward even when no one notices. It is the discipline of working without reward, of believing in a vision only you can see. Patience becomes your companion in this hidden work. Every day you show up, not because someone is cheering, but because you know the value of consistency. You keep planting seeds in the soil, even when nothing breaks the surface, because you trust that growth is happening beneath. And when the breakthrough comes, it will look sudden to others, but to you it will feel inevitable. The years of quiet effort, the hidden sacrifices, the countless hours in silence, these will all converge into a moment when your results finally step into the light. Building in the dark also teaches humility. When you work unseen, you learn to rely less on external praise and more on internal standards. You measure yourself not against the noise of others, but against the progress of yesterday. You begin to value process over performance, depth over display, and mastery over momentary attention. And when success finally arrives, humility keeps you steady, because you mirror the true cost of what it took. You remember the long nights, the quiet mornings, the invisible sacrifices that no one else witnessed. So if you find yourself in a season where no one notices your effort, do not be discouraged. That is the season where the strongest foundations are built. Use the darkness as your training ground. Use the silence as your shield. Build with patience, with discipline, with resilience. For one day, the world will see the results of what you shaped in private. And when that moment comes, your work will not just shine, it will stand unshaken, because it was forged in the unseen. Hard work requires energy, and energy is one of the most precious resources we have. Unlike money, which can be regained, or opportunities, which often come again, the energy you spend today cannot be replaced. Each thought, each action, each conversation draws from a limited reservoir. That is why learning how to manage energy is the difference between moving with power and stumbling through exhaustion. Many people fail not because they lack talent or potential, but because they scatter their energy in too many directions. They allow distractions, unnecessary conversations, and endless comparisons to drain them. They wake up with a full battery, but by midday, their focus is gone. Not because they worked hard on their dreams, but because they wasted their strength on things that add no value to their future. Working in silence is a strategy of preservation. When you stop broadcasting every move, you protect yourself from unnecessary criticism, judgment, or envy. Each time you share plans prematurely, you invite opinions that can weigh you down. Doubt from others becomes a leak in your energy tank. Silence seals that leak. By keeping your progress private, you conserve the strength to actually finish the work. Think about your attention as a stream of water. If it is divided into many tiny channels, each becomes weak, unable to push forward. But when all of it flows in one direction, it becomes powerful enough to carve valleys and move mountains. That is the essence of energy management. Concentrating your power on what truly matters instead of letting it trickle away into 1,000 distractions. One of the most effective ways to protect energy is through selective focus. Not every message deserves a reply. Not every invitation deserves acceptance. And not every opportunity is meant for you. There is strength in saying no. Each no is a yes to your vision. Each refusal is an act of discipline that ensures your energy remains aligned with your mission. Another part of energy management is learning to disconnect from noise. Endless scrolling, gossip, constant news. These are not harmless habits. They are thieves of your attention. They leave you drained without giving anything of value in return. Silence from the outer world gives space for inner strength to grow. By stepping away from noise, you give your mind a chance to reset and refocus. Consider the greatest athletes, artists, or inventors. Their brilliance does not come from doing more than everyone else. It comes from channeling their energy into fewer things with greater intensity. They choose their battles carefully. They spend hours, days, even years working in silence, protecting their energy from being wasted on the opinions of those who cannot understand their vision. When their work finally emerges, it carries weight because it was fueled by focused, uninterrupted energy. Even in daily life, you can feel the difference between scattered energy and directed energy. Think of a day when you tried to do too much at once. You were busy, constantly moving, yet by the evening, you realized little had actually been accomplished. Now compare it to a day when you gave yourself fully to one important task. The progress felt deeper, more satisfying, because your energy was united instead of divided. Managing energy also means caring for your body and mind. Silence is not only external, it is internal rest. Sleep, stillness, and moments of reflection are part of the process. A tired body cannot carry out focused work, and a restless mind cannot create lasting results. Protecting energy means balancing effort with recovery, ensuring that when you work, you give your very best. In the end, the secret to lasting progress lies in how you direct your energy. Spend it wisely, protect it fiercely, and invest it in the work that matters most. Every ounce of energy you waste on proving yourself to others is energy taken from the future you could be building. Let silence be your shield, let discipline be your guide, and let your results become the ultimate proof of where your energy was spent. Patience is the hidden ingredient behind every lasting success story, and persistence is its lifelong companion. Together, they form a partnership that separates those who dream from those who achieve. In a world where everything seems designed for speed, fast food, fast internet, instant recognition, waiting feels like weakness. Yet, true growth has never been instant. The strongest structures are not built in days. They are laid brick by brick, reinforced slowly until they can withstand storms. The same is true for you. Patience allows you to keep faith in the process, and persistence ensures you never stop moving forward, even when progress seems invisible. Think about the seasons. Spring does not rush into summer, and winter never lingers forever. Each transition takes time, and every stage is essential. Growth in your life is the same. There will be times when it feels like nothing is happening, when your effort goes unnoticed and your sacrifices unrecognized. But beneath the surface, change is taking place. Your skills are sharpening, your mindset is toughening, and your character is being shaped in silence. Patience is the trust you place in the unseen work happening beneath the surface. Persistence, on the other hand, is the act of showing up day after day, even when you don't see immediate results. Imagine a writer who sits down to write every morning. Some days the words flow easily. Other days, they come slowly, painfully. But the writer persists, and over time, page by page, the book is born. Had they waited only for days of inspiration, the work would remain unfinished. Persistence does not demand perfection. It demands consistency. It says, I may not be the fastest, but I will not stop. Patience and persistence also protect you from discouragement. Many give up because they expect quick returns. They plant a seed and abandon it when it doesn't sprout overnight. But growth has its own pace, and rushing it only leads to frustration. Those who master patience are willing to wait, and those who master persistence are willing to endure. Together, they ensure that quitting is never an option. Even when progress feels slow, you remind yourself that slow progress is still progress. There is a quiet dignity in patience. It gives you strength to endure rejection, to survive setbacks, to face disappointments without losing hope. Persistence gives you the courage to try again after every failure, to stand up after every fall, to move forward even when the road seems endless. The combination is powerful because one without the other is incomplete. Patience without persistence is passive waiting, and persistence without patience leads to burnout. But when they are balanced, they create unstoppable momentum. Think of the bamboo tree. For years, nothing is visible above the soil. The farmer waters it, cares for it, yet sees no growth. To an outsider, it looks pointless. But underground, the roots are spreading wide and deep, preparing to support what is to come. Then, almost suddenly, the bamboo shoots upward, growing several feet in weeks. That miracle growth was never sudden. It was the result of silent years of patience and persistence. Your life is no different. The results may not show today or tomorrow, but every day of consistent effort is strengthening your roots, preparing you for the moment when your growth will astonish everyone. Patience whispers that your time will come. Persistence answers that until it comes, you must keep moving. When both voices guide you, you can endure long journeys, survive storms, and achieve what once felt impossible. Do not fear the quiet seasons of waiting. Do not resent the long stretches of unseen progress. These are the chapters where your foundation is built. And when your moment arrives, you will not only rise, you will rise unshakable, because patience and persistence have shaped you into someone who cannot be broken. Of all the lessons one can learn about growth and achievement, the idea of letting results speak for themselves is perhaps the most profound. Words can be empty, promises can fade, and even declarations of intent can be forgotten. But results, those cannot be denied. They are the undeniable proof of what has been done, the physical evidence of persistence, patience, and focus. When you work quietly, when you dedicate yourself without needing an audience, the eventual outcome of that work becomes louder than any speech you could ever give. Success becomes its own introduction, its own announcement, its own validation. Think about the times in life when you were impressed by someone. Was it because they constantly told you how hard they were working, or was it because one day you simply saw the transformation? The person who once struggled now walks with confidence. The one who once had nothing now stands secure. The athlete who trained in obscurity now dominates under the lights. These moments captivate us not because of words, but because of results. Quiet effort, when revealed, commands respect without asking for it. There is a unique kind of strength in not needing to broadcast your every move. Many people announce their goals loudly, hoping the declaration itself will keep them accountable. But the truth is, sharing too much too soon often drains the energy that should be reserved for the work itself. When you tell the world what you plan to do, you may feel a false sense of accomplishment, as if speaking it were enough. But when you hold your vision close, nurturing it in silence, you give yourself space to build something solid. The unveiling of results becomes a moment of power because no one saw it coming. Imagine planting a garden. If you dig up the soil every day to show others the seeds, nothing will grow. But if you protect the soil, water it quietly, and let nature take its course, eventually the garden will bloom. When it does, you don't need to explain anything. The flowers are proof. In the same way, your results are your garden, and the world will notice when it blossoms. Letting results speak is not just about impressing others, it is about building trust with yourself. Every time you set a goal and achieve it, without the need for external validation, you reinforce your own belief in your abilities. You learn that you are capable, not because someone told you so, but because you have evidence. That quiet confidence becomes unshakable. It is rooted not in words, but in proof. There is also an elegance in mystery. When you keep your process private, when you work behind closed doors, you create an aura that people cannot ignore. They wonder what you are doing, how you are changing, where your strength comes from. And then, when the results reveal themselves, the mystery is solved, not by explanations, but by undeniable outcomes. This natural unveiling is far more powerful than constant updates. It transforms curiosity into admiration. Consider also how results simplify conversations. Instead of explaining who you are or what you are capable of, your results answer those questions for you. If you are disciplined, people will see it in your achievements. If you are resilient, they will see it in your consistency. If you are determined, they will see it in your progress. In silence, you don't need to convince anyone. Results do the talking, and they speak with authority. Ultimately, working hard in silence and allowing results to speak is about respecting the process. It is about knowing that success does not need a marketing campaign. That progress does not need applause to be real. Your role is to keep showing up, to keep working, to keep building when no one is looking. The world will eventually notice, and when it does, you won't have to say a word. The voice inside your mind is the most constant companion you will ever have. From the moment you wake until you close your eyes at night, it speaks. Sometimes it encourages, reminding you of your strength and potential. Other times it criticizes, telling you that you are not enough, that you will fail, that others are doing better. This inner voice has the power to shape your path more than the words of any critic outside. To focus on yourself and work hard in silence, you must learn to master it. Think of the inner voice as a mirror. If it reflects fear, doubt, and insecurity, those emotions will dominate your choices. If it reflects confidence, patience, and focus, those qualities will guide your actions. Many people allow the mirror to distort their true image. They believe every negative word the mind whispers, forgetting that they can challenge it, reshape it, and reframe it. Your mind is not a tyrant. It is a tool, and you can train it just as you train your body. Working in silence strengthens this practice. When you are not distracted by the noise of the outside world, you begin to hear yourself more clearly. The silence allows you to notice the patterns of your thoughts. You begin to see how often you criticize yourself, how quickly you compare yourself to others, how easily you give in to doubt. Awareness is the first step. Once you become aware, you gain the power to change. Imagine a craftsman at his workbench. The workshop is quiet, except for the sound of his tools. His focus is undisturbed. Every stroke, every adjustment is guided by patience. Your inner world must become like that workshop. You cannot let the noise of endless chatter or self-criticism crowd your mind. Instead, you return to your tools. Focus, discipline, encouragement. You remind yourself of your purpose, your progress, your potential. There will be days when your inner voice shouts, louder than your willpower. Days when it tells you to quit, when it insists that effort is wasted, when it convinces you that others are too far ahead. In those moments, silence becomes your ally. Instead of arguing with every doubt, you quiet the mind. You return to action. You pick up the task and move forward. Over time, the voice adapts. It learns to echo your discipline. Instead of your fears, it begins to whisper, "You are capable. You are steady. Keep going." This transformation does not happen overnight. It requires repetition. Just as muscles grow through consistent training, the inner voice grows stronger and kinder through consistent practice. Each time you choose persistence over self-doubt, you teach your mind a new lesson. Each time you remind yourself that failure is not the end, but a step forward, you rewrite the script of your inner dialogue. Eventually, encouragement becomes automatic, and discipline becomes instinct. When you master your inner voice, you gain a quiet strength that others cannot touch. No criticism can break you, because you no longer depend on external voices to define you. No comparison can weaken you, because your energy is focused inward. No setback can silence you, because your own voice. Reminded setbacks are temporary, and growth is permanent. The true reward of mastering the inner voice is freedom. Freedom to create without fear. Freedom to pursue goals without constant hesitation. Freedom to live by your values instead of by the noise of the crowd. And as you walk this path of silence, you will notice something remarkable. The world may not hear your inner voice, but they will see its effects. They will see it in your calm focus, in your steady progress, in the quiet confidence that shines through your actions. Without speaking a word, your life begins to communicate what your inner voice has already declared: that you are capable, that you are disciplined, and that you are becoming the best version of yourself. Humility is one of the greatest tests that success can place before you. When you have worked quietly for months or years, when the sacrifices have finally transformed into visible results, and when others begin to notice what you have accomplished, there is a subtle temptation to shift your focus from the work itself to the recognition it brings. This is the point where many people stumble. They allow pride to take root, and pride can be just as destructive as laziness. It blinds you to your weaknesses, isolates you from learning, and makes you believe that the applause is proof that you've arrived. But the truth is, the moment you think you've arrived, you stop moving forward. Working in silence trains you differently. It conditions you to appreciate the process more than the praise, because you did not rely on others to fuel your progress. You are less likely to let their applause control you. Humility becomes the natural extension of silent work. You understand that recognition is temporary, but the values that carried you here, discipline, patience, focus, are eternal. You do not need to announce yourself to the world, because the results you carry are louder than any voice. You stand grounded, knowing that your journey is still unfolding. Think of a mountain climber who has just reached one peak. To the crowd watching from below, it looks like the ultimate achievement. But from where the climber stands, he sees higher peaks still waiting. Success should give you perspective, not arrogance. It should open your eyes to what more is possible, rather than closing them in pride. Humility allows you to enjoy the victory without losing sight of the bigger journey ahead. When you carry yourself with humility, you protect yourself from the silent traps that success brings. Arrogance makes enemies, humility earns respect. Boasting creates distance, Humility creates influence. People are naturally drawn to those who accomplish much but carry it lightly. They admire the one who wins but doesn't brag, who shines but doesn't blind others with ego. That kind of quiet confidence inspires far more deeply than loud self-promotion ever could. Humility also makes you teachable. Success does not mean you have nothing left to learn. In fact, true success reveals how much more you still don't know. When you remain humble, you keep the door open for growth. You listen when others speak. You adapt when challenges come. You allow life to continue shaping you. The silent worker never forgets that silence is what built their strength, and silence is what will sustain it. Carrying humility doesn't mean denying your achievements or pretending you haven't worked hard. It means acknowledging the journey honestly, recognizing the contributions of others, and keeping gratitude at the center. Gratitude turns success into a blessing instead of a burden. It reminds you that the victories you now enjoy were made possible by years of unseen effort, by lessons learned from failure, and by moments when quitting would have been easier. But you chose otherwise. Gratitude softens pride and strengthens humility, ensuring that success becomes a platform for greater impact, rather than self-indulgence. When you work in silence and let your results speak, humility becomes the finishing touch on your story. It completes the cycle. You started in obscurity, driven by focus and discipline. You endured the quiet seasons where no one noticed your efforts. And now that the results are visible, you choose not to boast, but to remain steady. This steadiness preserves your character. It prevents success from becoming a distraction and keeps you aligned with the same principles that helped you rise. In the end, humility ensures that your success is not just loud but lasting. Many achieve brief recognition, but lose themselves in arrogance. Few build a legacy of respect that continues long after the applause fades. The difference lies in humility. When you learn to carry your victories with grace, you don't just succeed, you inspire. You remind others that greatness is not only about results, but about the character with which those results are carried. There comes a point in every journey when you realize that the real power of focusing on yourself and working in silence is not only the success it brings, but the quiet influence it creates on others. When you live a life rooted in discipline, persistence, and humility, you don't need to tell people what you are doing. They see it. They feel it. They draw inspiration simply by observing the way you carry yourself. Without uttering a single word, your life becomes a message, a lesson, and a source of strength for those who are searching for direction. The truth is, people are always watching, even when you do not notice. Some are curious, some are doubtful, and some are quietly hoping you succeed because it will prove to them that they can succeed too. When you dedicate yourself to silent work, You stop wasting energy on impressing the world and start pouring that energy into building something undeniable. Over time, the evidence of your discipline becomes impossible to ignore. Others begin to notice, not because you demanded their attention, but because your transformation commands respect without you asking for it. This kind of inspiration is powerful because it is authentic. Words can be doubted, promises can be broken, but results are solid. They tell a story that no one can deny. Think of the people you admire most. Chances are, it is not their speeches alone that touched you. It is the life they lived, the results they produced, the obstacles they overcame, and the quiet consistency that made them great. You may not have seen the long hours they spent working in silence, but you know those hours existed because the evidence is written in the results they achieved. When you live in this way, you realize you don't need recognition to validate your path. You understand that the discipline you practice is already shaping not just your future, but the future of those who will follow your example. A younger sibling, a colleague, a friend, or even a stranger might look at your journey and think, if they can do it, maybe I can too. That is the silent ripple effect of working in silence. You inspire without trying. But this influence does not come from perfection. It comes from persistence. People don't connect to a flawless image. They connect to the quiet strength of someone who keeps showing up even when it's hard. When they see you continue through struggles, setbacks, and failures, they recognize something real. And real stories of persistence are what give others courage to persist in their own lives. The greatest leaders in history were not always the loudest, but they were the most consistent. Their lives reflected values of hard work, patience, and self-mastery. And because they embodied those values, they didn't have to demand loyalty or admiration. It came naturally. In the same way, when you keep your focus inward, when you build patiently in silence, you will naturally become an example. You don't need to announce it. Your results will speak. Your character will speak, and your life itself will become a voice louder than words. This is the life that truly inspires, a life that shows others the value of patience when everything around them screams for quick results, a life that demonstrates the strength of humility in a world obsessed with attention, a life that proves the unstoppable force of persistence, even when no one is watching. And without trying to be a role model, you become one. Without intending to teach, you become a lesson. Without making noise, your silence becomes louder than all the distractions around you. In the end, focusing on yourself and working in silence does more than transform your own destiny. It creates a legacy, and that legacy is not written in speeches or proclamations, but in the quiet daily actions that add up to greatness. When others look at you, they will not just see who you are, they will see who they can become. And that is the most powerful gift you can ever give. At the end of this journey, the message is simple, yet it carries the weight of a lifetime. Focus on yourself and work hard in silence. It may sound small, almost too simple, but when you live it, you realize it is one of the most powerful principles that can transform not just your work, but your entire life. Silence is often underestimated in a world addicted to noise. People want to broadcast their plans, showcase their progress, and demand recognition before the results are even born. But those who understand the deeper truth know that silence is a shield. It guards you from the weight of outside opinions. It protects your energy, and it gives you the freedom to fail, adjust, and grow without an audience watching your every move. When you allow yourself this quiet space, you create the conditions where discipline can thrive. The world may tempt you to seek shortcuts, to look for quick applause, or to measure your worth or the approval of others. But you must resist that pull. Real strength is found in the discipline to keep going, even when no one sees you. Real progress is made in the small, daily acts that others overlook. Waking up early, practicing your craft, studying, repeating the same effort day after day. These actions are not glamorous, but they are the foundation of success. And the beautiful thing is, when you keep building in silence, eventually the results become so undeniable that they cannot be ignored. Think of how nature teaches us this truth. A tree grows quietly. A mountain forms silently over centuries. The most powerful things in existence do not need noise to prove their worth. They simply are. And in the same way, when you commit to working hard without announcing it to the world, your results will one day stand tall, like that tree or that mountain, undeniable in their presence. But this path is not just about success, as the world defines it. It is about peace. When you stop seeking validation, you free yourself from constant comparison. When you focus on yourself, you discover clarity. When you embrace silence, you learn to hear your own voice more clearly. That inner voice becomes your guide, reminding you of who you are and where you are going, even when the outside world is loud and distracting. And when success finally comes, you will meet it with humility, because by then you will have learned that it wasn't the applause that mattered, nor the attention, nor the recognition. What mattered was who you became in the process. Every early morning, every long night, every sacrifice you made in silence forged you into someone stronger, wiser, and more disciplined. Success will not be the prize. It will be the reflection of all the quiet effort that shaped you. This journey is yours. You do not need to compare it to anyone else's. You do not need to rush. You do not need to explain it or prove it to anyone. All you need to do is stay consistent, stay disciplined, and stay focused. Work as if the world will never see you, and when the time comes, Let your results be the loudest thing about you. So carry this message with you. Silence is not weakness. It is strength. Your discipline is not punishment. It is freedom. And your results, built patiently and quietly, will one day echo louder than all the noise around you. Live this way, and you will not only achieve what you desire, Upon a person whose very life inspires others to rise, to focus, and to believe in their own strength. In silence, greatness is born. In focus, life is transformed. And in hard work, done humbly and consistently, legacies are let that speak far beyond a single lifetime.